Welcome to episode 83 of the Forward from 50 podcast, where we interview people over 50 who are pursuing new direction for their lives. It's an opportunity for men and women to tell their stories, their way, and in their own words. I'm Greg Gerber, the founder of Forward from 50, and your host for today's show. Today I'm interviewing a woman who fell in love with traveling at a very young age. After she turned 50, she started a travel business to lead expeditions throughout Europe. As a child, Mary Baskin would pore over new editions of National Geographic magazine with her grandmother and dream of visiting far-off places. When she was 12 years old, Mary was gifted a 6-week trip to Europe to visit all the major capitals. It changed her life forever by sparking a desire to explore different cultures. As an adult, Mary worked briefly as a flight attendant before pursuing careers in interior design and publishing. When her youngest daughter started attending college in London, Mary went back to Europe and fell in love with travel all over again. After returning to her home, she started asking friends if they would like to make a trip to Europe themselves. Since then, Mary has returned to Europe multiple times every year for the past 16 years. She's also added trips to South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, and India. To tell us more about what prompted her to start a guided travel service that is changing lives every year, please welcome Mary Baskin, the founder of Vagabond Travel, to the show. Thanks for joining me, Mary. I appreciate your time. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved in travel.
Greg, it really goes back to my childhood. I've just had a curiosity and a love of other far-flung places. I used to read National Geographic with my grandmother, and it just sparked an interest and a curiosity in me. And when I was 12, I was gifted a 6-week trip to Europe, visiting major capitals all over Europe. And I came back forever changed by being exposed to the different cultures and the places and the lifestyles. And that stayed with me throughout my life. I had a short stint as a flight attendant. My background is in interior design and publishing. And then I married and raised 4 children. And when my twins were getting ready to graduate from high school, I went to visit, my daughter's freshman year of college. She went to school in London, and I went to visit her. And then I went over to Provence to visit some friends who were living there for a year. And after 24 hours in the Luberon Valley, which is where the lovely hillside villages are, I and my friends were taking me to the airport with all my bags of antiques that I had bought. I just said, why don't we do trips? We could do trips. We could bring people here. And they laughed at me and left me at the airport with 5 suitcases and a little chapeau. And they said, we love you, Mary. Bye. And they called me the Vagabond. And it's just stuck with me over the year because it's the name of my travel company. And so that's how it began. But it was also with this shifting change in my life where 20 some odd years had been devoted totally to my husband and my family. And it was, what am I going to do with this next step of my life? And so I came back after that experience and just started asking friends if I put a trip together, would you all come? And that first year I booked 2 weeks back to back, and I've been going at least 2 times a year for the past 15, 16 years. And so that's how it all started.
Where do you go typically?
It started with France, which I still do. I've been quite a few places. After France, I started doing England and Ireland and Italy. And about, I want to say 8 years ago, I just decided I wanted to go check out Marrakesh. I'd been interested in Morocco. And I just finished a Provence trip hosted by a fairly big influencer, an interior designer influencer. And I said, hey, I want to go to Marrakesh. I don't know anything about it, but y'all want to go. So this young man and his partner came with me, and I all I knew was that I wanted to be in Marrakesh, in the old city. I didn't want to be in a big hotel outside. So I picked a small riad and fell in love. The owner and I are just very good friends. And that sort of took me in a whole nother direction, making contacts with people. So now I do South Africa, Kenya, Egypt, India, all kinds of, it's all changing every year. Next year we'll add Turkey and the Amalfi Coast. So it's always ever changing destinations, growing and learning as I go along.
Do you do any travel in the United States?
I have throughout my life, but now my company is based going to Europe and beyond.
So most of your time is spent in Europe. How does travel change people?
For me, it's opened my eyes to different cultures, learning about how people live and how we're alike and how we're different, and accepting people. And I would say Morocco was the first biggest change for something like that, because it was shortly after, it was probably 10 years after 9/11, but Americans are so afraid or fearful of going to an Islamic country, or we're not as, I don't know what the word is, pushing out beyond. And there has been a fear. And when I was told my husband I wanted to go, he goes, "No, you're not going there." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going there." And "No, you're not." "Yeah, I am." And then, of course, now I've been going for 8 years, and he's, "Oh, she knows everybody in Marrakesh." And I've learned through the years that most people are more like us than not, and that people want to work, they want to provide for their families, they want to educate their children, and they want to live in peace. So that's a very important thing to me.
I would think so. Are you able to immerse yourself into the culture in a short-term trip like?
Yes, something that I'm known for is that I make friends with people in these different countries. I work with locals. I get access to places and things that you don't get to do on a normal tour. So they're highly curated and specialized, and I like to have fun. So it's and I have a lot of repeat business, and they're small groups. So it's cultural immersion is something that's very important to me. Yeah, I feel like I leave people with, maybe they haven't done 10 countries in 10 days, but they've spent some intense time in a certain area, that they can go back and on their own and press out beyond where we went. But that's what I try and provide.
Do you limit the group size?
I don't limit it, but I would say my typical group size would be between 8 and 12. But I have also taken groups up to 22 or 23. But I prefer a smaller group.
Sounds
10
like
is a magic number.
Sounds like it'd be more intimate, and people would be able to
Absolutely.
develop closer relationships.
Relationships, yes. And these trips have forged bonds with so many people, and we stay in touch and have reunions. Part of what I do is showing women that they can travel, they can do these things, and sparking a curiosity in them so that they come home and they live a better life. And especially if you've had a divorce, a death, some tragic thing that's happened. I have a lot of people that come for reasons like that. And it's oftentimes, I'm told, it's been a very pivotal thing for them in their life. And that means a lot to me.
I can imagine. I know a lot of people who love to travel. Do you cater to singles, or do you work primarily with couples?
I would have to say primarily my business is with women. My demographic when I started was women in their 50s, of similar place in their life, and they have some disposable income. They want to travel. Their husband might not be as interested in going, but they want to go, but they don't want to do a big bus tour, and they don't know how to do it on their own. So that's my demographic, although I've had a little bit of everything over the years. Couples, singles, couples, married women, all ages. I have people in their 30s travel with me, up to, just came back to Morocco a couple of weeks ago, and I had 2 women that were 79 and going strong, and the most fun people in the group. And that's so encouraging.
I think so. I can imagine that would be a lot of fun to be still traveling. I can barely make it through an airport by myself, and these women are doing it at 79. That's impressive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And loving it. And we ride motorcycles in the desert, and they were on those motorcycles, just hooting and howling and having fun. They were terrific. More power to them.
Now that's getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Yes.
You were either behind someone on the or in a sidecar. We weren't driving them, but it's amazing. And in these old Russian motorcycles with sidecars.
Some
in the desert, over the dunes.
some older folks are reluctant to go on trips like this because they have to share a room with somebody. Is that something that you have to deal with?
I do have that from time to time, and they will upgrade and pay for a private room. But I've also found that, and I don't know if it's because the trips that have a like-minded base, but a lot of time people will just throw in with whoever I put them with. We're just all friends from all different walks of life and stages and ages, and we end up just to be like a big fun group at the end, and everybody goes home with new friends.
That makes sense. It's a way to experience another country with other people. I remember
Exactly.
traveling. I primarily cruises is the only really big trips that I've taken on my own. And doing it as a single is difficult. There's nobody to share the
Experience with. Yeah. But I mean, it forces you sharing a room with someone that you don't know, really forces you to really get out of your comfort zone. You've got to make an effort, and it's rewarding. I love people. I love being all kinds of people. And I rarely have a rotten egg. Over the years, I may have had 2 or 3, but most everybody, we just a little community.
What did it take for you to get this travel agency or travel group started?
Just when I came back from France, and I just started asking, just very just serendipity, or for me, I call it God. I don't believe in any coincidences. And it just started organically by word of mouth. And I would go, I don't know, go to Austin, and then all of a sudden I speak, and then all of a sudden I've got all these Austin people. I have people from Birmingham that travel with me, Atlanta, the East Coast, the West Coast. So it's just organically grown over the years. And I ventured first into Facebook, and now Instagram, which I prefer Instagram because it's more visually driven. And it's just little by little staying at it. But it's meant so much to me in this, I call it the second half of my life. And I still feel like I've got so much out there to give. I launched a travel journal this year with our first publication out in May with a gentleman that I work with who is a travel and interiors writer. And he's been 6 months of the year in India and 6 months in London. And we became fast friends. And we've just put this journal together over the last year. And our second issue is coming out in December, which the whole thing is very exciting for me.
That sounds like it'd be fun to be able to do that. Did you have to develop relationships overseas in order to orchestrate these trips, or how did you figure out
Yes.
places to stop?
I do everything. I'm basically a one-man show, but I've just made friends, and then I'll research, and I always go ahead. And I've taken people on a couple of trips without having been there, but I had a colleague who had been there and traveled many times and knows everything to do and what's what. But I research, and then just by doing it. And the France trip, the very first time I started looking for, I don't know if you remember Home Away, but I started looking for a property to rent, and I started inquiring, and this woman was responding to me from France, and she did book. That's what her job was, booking people's private properties for vacations when they weren't lit at home. And she and I just met and wrote over the internet for a year. And then we went in person, and then she started joining me one day a week, then 2. And then by about the second year, I was like, okay, you're just coming with me. And we've been very good, close friends over that time. That's been wonderful. In Ireland, I work with a surfer, middle-aged. He's now middle-aged. He was about 35 when I met him, Irish, but he has an outdoor recreation background. And we've done some amazing trips. We're surfing and hill walking, and abseiling off the sides of cliffs, and just magical trips by working with locals. And not just a tour guide local, a person who lives in a particular place in the culture, and we immerse ourselves into that.
Did you have to get any special permits to be able to run these trips?
No, I'm not a travel agency.
Okay.
I have worked with travel agencies that will help people book their flights. They'll book all trips, but I call myself a travel company. So no, I don't have, no, I didn't have to get any trip permit.
Have you encountered any language barriers or unique, weird situations?
I try to, wherever I go, learn a few keywords to and try to respect their culture. But so many people around the world speak English. And yeah, so we communicate either in English or in French but the important thing is I think people appreciate that in Morocco, when you see someone, you say salam alaikum, and they will respond alaikum salam. They know that I've tried, which is hello, how are you? Try to meet them and not just be the ugly and demanding, ugly American.
Never get into a problem. Now Google Translate makes it easier for you too.
Exactly. I mean, in Egypt, it was just amazing. We were in the middle of the desert and we went to a Coptic mission out in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And we spoke with that priest. We had tea with him and he had that app and we were able to converse and we shared it was just amazing that this gentleman who lived in the desert for 10 years left his family and not his family, but his home. And he was so tuned in to what was going on in the world. It was very interesting, but it was through that translation app that we were able to communicate.
How do you find your clients now?
Organic referrals. I get lots of referrals. I'll take a group, for instance, I have a group in Birmingham that's traveled with me and I've gone over several times and had little gatherings in people's homes. They come to hear about my trips and now the journal, they're interested in that. And I have those little pockets all over and it's just grown. It's just organic. That's all I can say. It's just been slow, steady, organic growth. And there have been times along the way when I thought, because there's always something that comes up and you have to like in real time, reassess, shift, change if something happens on the ground. And I thought, oh, I just can't do this anymore. But then something keeps nudging me, keep going. So, yeah. And I plan to continue.
What kind of perks do you get to enjoy doing this?
Perks would be that I get to see amazing things and meet amazing people, go places that I'd never, ever thought I would have the opportunity to do. That's the main perk.
Okay. Do you make money doing this? Or is it just an opportunity for you to travel?
I do make money. I do, earn a living.
Okay. The decision to do all of this really impacted your life.
I just think that women, certainly it's different today, but I do travel with a lot of 30-something, 40-something women who have small children. And that's all they can see right now is they're just into all that. And it is a big life change for women when the children go away. It's just, I don't know, it's been the best thing for me. It's just one thing I think as you become 50 and beyond. To me, 50 sounds extremely young. You have to keep your brain, you have to keep engaged. You have to keep moving forward and you can't just sit on the sidelines. I don't think I'm old. I don't know. People may think I'm old, but I'm not old. In my head, I'm out there doing things that I would do when I was 18. And I think that's important. I think that's the key to maintain a childlike curiosity and push yourself. I remember one of the first things I wanted to do was I wanted to learn to drive standard on the wrong side of the road in England. And now I drive vans all over Ireland and all over England. And it was something that pushed me to make myself better and not afraid. I wanted to break out from being hemmed in and I wanted to be free. I didn't want to be left in a little compartment.
When you're driving in those communities that do so on the left side, do you ever find yourself reverting onto the right just by habit?
I used to a lot at first. Now I just know it. Like I get in the van and I know I'm just right there. I'm very dyslexic. That's one thing. A lot of times I'll come back in the States and my brain will get confused as if I've been driving on the wrong side for several weeks. And I go, okay, left, where's, but so far I've managed to avoid any wrecks.
I remember
occasionally I'll get a traffic ticket, but for something. But anyway, being in the wrong lane in London, trying to drive in London is nuts because there are bus lanes and this lane and that lane. And if you don't know all their driving rules, you'll get a little ticket and it'll show up on your rental car.
Or
payments. So
wasn't it Chevy Chase in European Vacation that got caught in one of the circles?
yeah, the roundabout.
Yes, couldn't
Yeah,
get
yeah.
out.
It's very true. If you don't know where you're going, just keep going around until you figure out what your exit is. So,
Do you have any regrets, or would you do anything differently if you had to start over at this stage in your life?
no, I don't have any regrets. I've always said that I have angels on my shoulders because I've been so fortunate and just a wing and a prayer. But no, it's just grown, and it's just a great thing. It's a great thing to be able to find what your passion is and then pursue that passion, and doors open if you stay at it. If you just keep going, things happen.
Sure. Do you have any advice for people who might be over 50 and are struggling or unsure of what their passion would be?
People have to know deep in their gut what it is. If it's painting or just what are your interests? What really rings your bell? Is it exercise or is it writing? Or you just have to immerse yourself into your thoughts, and then things will come to you like, oh, maybe I could do that. And then go down that road. Oh, that was really great. I just think you have to keep your mind active.
Keeping your mind active is certainly important, yes.
And keep moving. Just keep moving. And a positive attitude. And of course, I think one of the greatest gifts is laughter, and being able to laugh at yourself or make light of certain situations and be grateful.
What is the cost to take one of your trips?
They vary. Depends on the trip. I would say mostly my trips are in the $6,000 range.
Okay.
And I'm really way under, honestly. Travel has become so expensive. But if you go on a 13-day trip to Egypt, it's like $12,000.
Okay. So that is pricey, but that includes everything?
So it doesn't include your airfare, but it includes everything else. But a longer trip to a more faraway place, you need to stay longer. 7 days just isn't enough. So yeah, so it just costs to travel. So, but I do try and keep my week tours to a price that more people can afford.
That again is just, if you've never been to some of these countries, it would be worth it to go there. The memories that you would make would be
absolutely,
that would be phenomenal, and the culture that you would learn and the new foods that you would get to enjoy.
Exactly. Scenery. You go to Europe and it's wonderful and it is magical. But you get somewhere like Marrakesh, where you've got dirt roads and donkey carts and bustling traffic, and you'll have a family of 4 on a motor scooter, the husband, the mother, a baby, and another child just scooting around all over the city. You've been somewhere different. You're out of your comfort zone. And that's what I love.
Where do most of your trips originate from? You're in the Dallas or in the Texas area, starting in Dallas?
No, we have a meeting point. We meet in Provence. The group meets at the Marseille airport. It's different country to country. In India, we had somebody eat the flights, get them through customs, some of those tricky things, when you're traveling to really far away places. There's always a meeting point. We don't fly together. Everybody books their airfare individually.
That makes sense. So that if somebody is up in Seattle, they just fly from Seattle to wherever you're going to meet.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
If you're in New York, you just go from New York.
Okay. Exactly. So I have people from West Coast, East Coast, the middle of the country, everybody. We just meet at the hotel, meet at the airport, whatever the conditions are.
Do the people book their own travel? Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Where can people get more information about Vagabond Travel if they would like to learn more about it? Check out your trips.
Sure. My website is www.vagabondtravelco.com. My Instagram is Mary Baskin Vagabond Travel. And you could go to the website. You can see the destinations we explore, click on the links and request an itinerary, find out dates, pricing, that kind of thing. And then also my journal is on, and you can purchase a subscription there. And actually right at this moment, I'm adding a storefront. I love antiques and have had a passion for that's another big passion, interior design and antiques. And I'm launching what we call Found Souk. The name of my travel journal is Found, Travel and Living Journal, which is, it's beautifully, the photography is amazing. It's more like a coffee table book than a magazine. But I'm starting a online e-commerce where I'm selling one-of-a-kind antiques, ceramics, fabrics, all kinds of things. So that's coming soon. Before the end of the year, that'll be up and rolling, and that'll be from my website or from my Instagram page.
What prompted you to start that?
Oh, one of my sons calls me a serial entrepreneur because I want to do it.
Right.
I think it's fun.
So that's coming in 2025.
Actually, before I'm building the website right now, the link that'll go from my Instagram and my website that'll take you right to the storefront.
Thank you, Mary, for sharing this story. I know travel is something everybody wants to do, but they're afraid to do it. They're afraid to jump out on their own, especially.
Exactly. And I'm also I'm always more than happy to talk to people who want to go somewhere, maybe not with me, but I'm happy to pass on tips and information and encouragement. Go. We only have one life here, so let's live our best.
Absolutely. Best wishes as you continue your travels. Do you have any more trips planned yet this year, or most of them coming up in 2025?
I have completed, I did 9 trips this year. I've been back 2 weeks. So I was gone for 2 months. So I'm here with my family through the end of the year and then be heading out again in February.
Super. Good luck to you on your travels, and I wish you the
best.
Thank you.
Yep. Listen, thank you, Greg. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you.
I love Mary Baskin's story about starting Vagabond Travel to help people, primarily women, to enjoy first-rate travel experiences while meeting new people and exploring new cultures. Over the years, Mary has developed an extensive network of connections with local people in every country she visits. That gives her clients unique access to places that aren't often available on other tours. Rather than setting up tours visiting 10 countries in 10 days, Mary prefers to offer immersive experiences in that the trips focus on 1 or 2 areas and concentrate their time in those countries. Most trips have no more than 10 people in them, but some go as high as 24. The smaller groups make it easier for people to navigate together and make more intimate connections with other travelers. Her clients involve people of all ages, but Vagabond Travel generally caters to people over 50. For example, on a recent trip, women as old as 79 were having the time of their lives being driven around the Moroccan desert on motorcycles. Mary's trips are so popular that she never needs to do any advertising. All of her clients come from referrals made by previous travelers. She considers travel to be one of the best ways seasoned citizens can keep their minds sharp by learning new things and forging new relationships. She said the key for enjoying a successful second half of life requires maintaining a positive attitude, laughing frequently, and to keep moving. In addition to travel, Mary has a fondness for collecting antiques. Next year, she'll be launching a travel journal titled Found. Mary said it will be more like a coffee table book than a magazine. She's also starting an e-commerce site to sell some of her antiques and other treasures that she discovered on her trips. For more information about her travel excursions or to connect with Mary, visit www.vagabondtravelco.com or look for her on Instagram. That's all I have for this week's show. If you'd like help in identifying a purpose for your life or to get help planning your next steps, I'm offering a complimentary brainstorming session to members of the Forward from 50 Facebook community. For details, connect with me on Facebook or visit www.forwardfrom50.com. I'll have another inspirational interview on the next episode of the Forward from 50 podcast. Thanks for listening, and if you like this show, please consider leaving a review wherever you download the episodes.